This is Shelby,
And this is Jess.
and welcome back to the League of Extraordinary Readers. Today, we have another guest. You guys have heard me talk about this book forever. Like, I rant about it every time someone asks me for a historical fiction recommendation. I am screaming from the rooftops about Trinity. So, we do have Zelda Lockhart with us today. How are you, Zelda?
Yeah, so good. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks, y'all, for inviting me.
No problem. We are
Of
super glad
course.
to have you. So, Jess, how was your experience reading Trinity?
It's too good. I can't say like I'm texting Shelby like wow, like the words on the page are so beautiful. Like you write so
Oh,
beautifully. That's number one. Like the
yeah.
descriptions, it honestly takes me back to like a Toni Morrison type of feel when it comes to describing things because me and Shelby talk about this a lot is like how Toni describes things in her work is like, did I get that right? Did I understand that correctly? It's just so fluffy and beautiful. And it just, that's
Oh,
the first thing that stood out to me. And then the second thing is just how you put so much care into such a trauma and healing story. Like it was just so beautiful. So I journeyed with this book. I couldn't put it down. I also immersive read it.
really?
So the audiobook is actually really phenomenal. If anybody wants to read and listen to it at the same time, I think it's a great immersive reading experience. I couldn't get enough of all these characters. Like honestly, one of my top historical fiction books, like Shelby said, because she's been telling
Yeah,
me to read
that's
this
so
book for a
good.
minute, and it's so good. So
It's so
thank you for
good.
such beautiful work. Like honestly,
Oh,
And I
I'm thankful
think,
for that. Dang, thank you. And to be
you're
compared
welcome.
to Toni Morrison, her words and listening to her words, because that's mostly how I would consume her work because I'm a really audio learner. And
mm,
I always loved the music of her
yes.
words, and poetry was my first language. So similarly,
Mm.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see definitely see the poetic side of things. And I did just listen to jazz as well. I was listening and reading jazz like not too like literally before your book ended. I was like let me like before that I was listening to jazz. So I was like this is a nice like transition into even more beautiful work, you know?
Cool. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
One book that I read recently that made me think of Trinity is The Seven Daughters of Dupree.
I was
Um,
thinking, yeah.
with how Nikisha intertwines all of these characters and like their different lived experiences. Like there's a very prominent through line that doesn't feel repetitive. I find sometimes with
Mhm.
generational stories, people are like repeating the same things over and over again. And I find myself
Mhm.
reading and going, like, I know that already. Like, I get it, but like, come on now.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
it did make me think of The Seven Daughters of Dupree because that's, if you haven't read that yet, Zelda, I think you will absolutely love it. It's very, very
Listen,
good.
I saw your shout out for it, and I put it on. I have on my phone a note that says, books and movies, and I added it to my list of books. Yeah, yeah.
Nikisha did
Thank
a
you.
very, very good job. You can tell she took time and care. And like I've said to you before, like I like when you can tell authors are well read, right? Like you can tell when a reader is telling a
Mhm.
story. Or just like you mentioned, poetry was your first language. You can tell,
You can
you
tell
know,
all the
in the
time.
writing and stuff, you could tell it's I love it. I love it all.
Yeah. No, it was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. What did y'all think about? One of the things, I had a conversation with some young folks in Martinique at University d'Antilles yesterday. They had just
Mm.
read Trinity. They didn't want to, they wanted to read Trinity as opposed to Entomologie, which is already in French, it's in their language. But they read Trinity, and one of the things that they were talking to me about yesterday was individually in each one of their lives, like they would come up to the computer to say, this remind me of something that happened with my uncle, and another student was like, this is remind me of something that happened in my family with my aunt. And so I was just wondering if there were ways in which y'all felt or saw family members, or were inspired by maybe doing things differently, or memories that you had, or anything like that.
I think for me, it explained why the men in my family are very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there are many men. That goes for my father, my uncles. Um, the one that comes to mind the most is my grandfather, my pop. Like, there were just things that he didn't talk about. Like, what I knew of him is what I saw with my eyes, and it wasn't that he was mean or anything like that. Like, he is actually I miss him a lot. Like, I don't
Mm,
really remember a day where I did not see or talk to him, like literally up into his death. Like, he was a very prominent figure in my life. But like, when it came to his past,
mhm.
there just was nothing. And as a kid, I don't think that I necessarily that it bothered me. It was something that I noticed. But I just didn't understand. And reading this, because my grandfather's family, I believe South Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina. So
Mm,
like, it put into it put everything into perspective for me. Like, there are things that he probably went through that he can't share because it hurts, you know? And we
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
don't get that depiction of men. We don't get um we're not taught to see men as emotional creatures.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So much
Mhm.
so that
Yeah.
I don't think that they know that they can be emotional
Yeah.
creatures, you know?
Yeah.
Mm,
So I think my grandfather was very emotional towards me. I think having grandchildren can do that, right? Having
yeah.
children can do that to a person. Um, but like, I don't know, even when I think about my grandmother, my mother's mother, they were very
Yeah.
prominent figures. Now, my grandmother, I know more about her life, because I think my grandmother recognized in me, like, oh, Shelby is going to be the one to do the things, like, she's going to be the curse breaker. And my grandmother told me a
Mm,
lot of stuff at a young age that she probably should not have told me, that she probably should
yeah.
not have shared with me.
Mm-hmm.
um but it I got it early, like, oh, grandma has been through things, and
Mhm.
those things impact how she shows up for me,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
definitely.
I would say similar to Shelby, my dad's side of the family is one that came to mind while I was reading. So my dad is very quiet about his trauma. They were all adopted. So five brothers, one sister. On
Mhm.
my dad's side, they were all adopted, and the brothers stayed together, went to a foster home, and the one sister, my aunt, went to another foster home. But luckily for her, she went to a foster home that wasn't abusive.
Mhm.
Whereas my dad's foster home and his brothers, very much abusive, very much religious based abuse and other trauma that my dad will not talk about. And I used to be like, oh, why won't he talk about it as much? Because my uncles, my uncle Frank and my other uncle Jarrell, they would talk about it a little bit more, but he's very quiet. Like I would remember once their foster mother passed away. I just remember the funeral day. He just went to the room and just closed the door and just was like quiet the whole entire time. Like he was like after the funeral, he was done talking. And I think thinking about that, I used to think like, like why is it this way? But talking to my uncles, understanding that there is a lot of trauma, as well as my mom, understanding that she knows some trauma that he's been through as well. He doesn't know how to actualize it. He's never been one to like actualize or put words to that. And I have been able to understand men have feelings, right? And they go through and they hold it in different ways than women, because like if I look at my mom, and especially my mom's side of the family, My grandpa, he talks a lot. Like now, especially now as he's older, he'll talk a lot to me. But before he wouldn't talk as much. Whereas my grandmother and my mom, they would outline everything detail by detail by detail. Especially because my grandma understands, like, especially for me, since I do photography and she's also, I would say, an archivist in our family. She's the one that takes all the photos, has big things, big like photo books and everything. I would say
Yeah.
she probably would put that on me as well to give all the information to me. So I would be the one to like hold those things, similar to my dad's side, talking to my uncles, also like just getting a lot of information. I'm always the one that's very interested in that type of stuff. So I think reading this is like, oh yeah, I see similarities. I see the generational trauma. I see the journey to healing and how that looks. And I've always like kept that in mind. Like, okay, but this is reassuring. Like, okay, they do obviously have to feel these things and have to go through these things and how it passes down. So yeah, I definitely thought about my dad's side of the family just because of how they have, especially the brothers, have dealt with trauma. Even my aunt, like, she kind of brushes it under the rug just because she's been in a better family, but I would say
Yeah.
she also obviously deals with it because they all have the same similarities in how they move. Like, it's so interesting when we all
Yeah.
get together and I talk to my cousins and they're like, yeah, they do the same things. They talk the same way. They have the same mannerisms that they can't break. It's so funny, but it's also like, wow, this is what trauma and sometimes some of it's not all trauma, but this is what familial things look like passed down. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also,
Yeah. And go ahead.
it reminds me, like, I didn't see baby pictures, or not even baby pictures, pictures of my father from when he was younger
Same.
until he passed away.
Yeah.
It was the first time I was seeing like a young version of my dad. I had never seen him. My dad did not talk to me about his childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shelby,
same.
I never saw a picture of my dad as a child. I don't know if any were ever taken. And that's, when I started writing Trinity, I didn't know I was writing Trinity, of course, but I was just writing, I'm doing that writing exercise that I do with people of like, trying to write the wounding event of the perpetrator of your wound so that you can understand better, like you understand your own healing better and your own behaviors and your own things that you are putting out there in the world, the things that you're trying not to put out there in the world. You understand that a whole lot better if if you're able to allow yourself to be with the trauma. And Jessica, you pushed a button right in the go spot by saying like the healing journey. It's like I have been wanting people to understand, if they can, that they should take the journey of the book. Because one of the things that I hear people saying is, oh, I got into the middle and I stopped. Because, and
Mm.
it's like healing journey and plot. So indigenous plot, not commercialized plot, not like you can write and you can't, but our indigenous way of telling story is a healing journey, and when I do healing work with people, that's what we use. We use plot, and I call it personal plot because that's what it is. You don't get to the middle of no kind of healing. You wouldn't have take some antibiotics. You don't get to the
Mm-hmm.
middle and stop. It's like finish the journey. You might be at that peak of the story, of even your own story, where it makes you feel some things from your own past because you are going through the journey with the characters. But the characters then are about to have some tools and some spiritual things go on and some things that's going to help them to heal, and you get to have that too, and then it gets to change and create some healing in your own life. And so, when I was writing this story and just just bawled my eyes out after, literally, I was on tour with the book, and I was driving from Jackson, Mississippi, and a whole bunch of stuff had happened, like me finding Lottie's grave, which was just like my whole spiritual reality was buzzing. Me finding Lottie's grave, just similar to what happens at the end of the book when I didn't even plan on that. And I was driving from Jackson to Memphis. So from where my father, from Simpson or whatever, Mississippi, to Memphis, and I was listening to the audiobook. Now this is like it's like, girl, you wrote the thing, but there were parts of the healing journey that I hadn't had yet. And so I'm listening to the story, and I'm only in like the middle of the first chapter. And for my father, feeling my father while traveling his roads, I had to pull over. I was bawling my eyes out because I have a boy. My boy turned 40 yesterday.
Happy
And
birthday.
yeah,
Yeah.
my black man that I had birthed, he turned 40 yesterday. And just feeling beyond the sort of feeling, and then it going to the intellectual center, and then it coming out of my hands, or writing, or straight from my heart to my hands, and then all of the work of publishing the thing and all that, and then we're on tour, and it's like there's another level of feeling this, and understanding in your spiritual center the ceremony and the ritual of healing for yourself and for the men in your family. It's not enough to say, this one hurt me. It's not enough for society to say, this one hurt, this one is hurting us. This one need to be locked up. This one. We have to understand the reasons so that we can understand what we're all going through, and so that we can all understand the actual perpetrator, who is the actual perpetrator. Because in the story, what's important for me is that there's a consistent link for people to see and to understand that colonialism and imperialism are the actual founding events. You're seeing that what this family is going through as a black family, and you're seeing the men do what they do, and I have to show that and have to expose that and be vulnerable with that. You're seeing what the women are going through, but it is that girl child spirit who understands, who was there when the first seed sprouted from the womb of the first woman, who's there in 1990, when she's born, who's like wanting them to look at the whole thing and don't hold back any parts of your own story, because where you think that is bringing healing for the family, it's actually like you're swallowing the cancer more and more and more, you know. Anyway, I'm preaching now.
You sure? I was about to say we
No,
need to
yeah.
pass around a collection plate because
No, for real.
Yeah.
No, that was a whole word. I mean, I wanted to know, like, because it is like you just said, you had that feeling when you were driving the roads, and how that hit you all at once. How did you approach this subject with so much care? Like, was there anything that you did before and then after to, like, really, I don't know, center yourself after and before? Like, how did that go?
Yeah, so when I sit down to write, especially if know I'm going to write what I always call the hard part, I tell people, when you know you're going to write the hard part, in other words, the part that you might have written it once, twice, 3 times, 10 times, and you know that it's too intellectual, or that you're not getting down in there, or that you're thinking while you're writing, which is like the worst
Mm.
thing you can do. Don't think while you write. Um, it's like thinking while you're singing. There's a difference in when you hear the singer sing, who's like fully expressing, and they ain't thinking about how they're gonna hit the notes, and then everybody's wrapped up in it, and then the singer who's singing, and you can tell they thinking about it all. So what I do is I use like jump starters. Like this morning with my writing, and I had a whole moment. This morning was just like a whole crying spiritual thing, because I was, I'm writing my memoir, and I was on the scene
Mm.
about my son's birth, and it's what I'm like writing about his birth, because it's 40 years ago. And anyway, what I do is the same thing I did for that scene, which had been written several times, of the chapter with Benny, who's based on my father. Is I put some music in my ears that's like in the same vein or the same mood. And I think I was listening to Nina Simone's "Strange Fruit" on loop, you know.
Mm.
And then I'll put my
Mm.
finger down in a poetry book. What's on my desk right now is Tyree Day's poetry book. So I got the music going because the idea is to like go so far into the zone that your magical poet is alive, and we don't know nothing
Mm.
about what you're writing. And then I put my finger down and I ask myself, whatever three words I land on, I ask myself, what did I think, feel, or remember about the thing that I'm trying to write? So I just landed on bowls that cut to the snowflake. And then I don't allow myself to try to intellectualize it. What happened in my brain was bowl of cornflakes. And so just in terms of like if I was writing right now, I would go right into the scene in my own life where there was a whole lot going on with me because of the shit that was going down with my parents. Oops, I don't know if I can say that on the podcast, but anyway,
It's
the
fine.
stuff that was going on
Okay.
with my
It's
parents
fine.
and the abuse and everything like that, and me watching my or seeing my father darn near kill my uncle, who then actually did die the next
Mm.
day, and all that was going on, and then here we are showing up at the friggin' breakfast table like nothing, you know. And
Mm.
I had reached for, like, everybody was we used to put sugar in your cornflakes, and I reached for, I was like, I wasn't thinking, which is just perfectly fine that I wasn't thinking because of all that had gone on. And I didn't know that I had put salt in my cornflakes until I went to take a spoonful, and the taste of that and me spitting it out, and it brought up all the pain of that 24 hours, and I cried as it was like 2 days of like bawling. So I wouldn't have thought
Mm.
to write that had I not done this.
Mhm.
And so that's what I did. I was like, okay, you're about to write about your dad's childhood. You only have a couple of facts, and they ain't even facts. You know, you you're gonna have to spirit the hell out of this. You know, which means you're gonna have to be possessed. And so I had the
Yeah.
music on, and I was just like, in my zone, and I picked up a word or two, and it was like, yeah. But so that's how I prepare. And then what I do afterwards, especially if I'm just like gone, like woo wee, is I tell people to do things to come out of the deep cave. Like before you start
Mm.
writing, if you know you got to go into a super deep place, before you write, tell a friend to call you in an hour. Um, Set
Okay.
up, yeah, if you're a walker, like I'm a walker in nature, like set it up that you're getting ready to go on your hike, and don't like be like, I think I'm gonna go for a hike today. Have the shoes at the door, the jacket sitting there, so that when you come out of the zone and you're all turned around and screwed up, and you're like, what was I gonna do to make myself feel better? You see your shoes sitting there, you know. So I do all kinds of stuff like that.
Mhm.
Maybe right before going to my 6 p.m. yoga yin class,
Mm.
sometimes that doesn't help though, because then I just lay on the floor because it's one of those yoga classes where
Shavasana, yeah.
you're just laying on the floor, child, and the music is going, and you show up at
Mhm.
yoga, and if you're already in that state, you're just gonna be laying there crying.
Yeah. And then if you're in the poses longer, like in yin, you're just gonna be going through, like, if you do a hip opener, it's a wrap. It's like it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and
No,
that's
I get
why
it.
that's why I don't do yoga for real, because y'all not gonna have me in them people place laying on the floor sobbing. I would prefer to do that in the privacy of my own home.
Yeah. It can be a lot, especially once you're done. Like, especially if yin is such a, it's such a spirit, like you said, spirit. It's even more spiritual than vinyasa
Yeah.
or hatha. Like, you're literally in these positions for a long amount of time. So like if you're in a heart opener, you're really like, it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
You gotta, and it's good they have the lights. They always in the yin classes they have the lights on practically off, you know.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, and then
See,
sometimes,
mm-mm.
yeah. So, deep
I could
lore.
just see it now. I could see it now. Just me calling you after class and be like, I just laid there and sobbed the whole time. I couldn't even do the things. No.
So when I used to, so deep lore, I used to teach yoga at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
But so some people would fall asleep. I would find people asleep, like knocked out. And then some people really would be crying. They really
Yeah.
would. Yeah, like they would be just like so deep into their thoughts of like once you get into Shavasana and you're like finally done with the whole entire flow, you're just like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is a
I
lot. Like it's a lot. Yeah.
And
it
sometimes it's
reminds
like
me.
praise crying, you know? It's like you're praise crying. Like you're just like, you
Yeah.
didn't know you were going to cry. You're not thinking about anything, but just something, you're just like in some pose and
Needed
something
to
got
release it.
released. And all of a sudden,
Yeah. It's just
yeah.
it's just a whole process. It
I
really
used
is.
to be a person that did not cry. Like and I don't think that there was any particular like rhyme or reason to that, to be honest with you. It just wasn't how I expressed myself. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Because when I say that to people, they're always like, "Well, what's your issue with crying?" And I don't think that I necessarily had an issue with it. It just wasn't my way of expressing myself. And as I've gotten
Mhm.
older, it's become the way. So that reminded me of when Wicked came out, the first half of it,
Oh
and
yeah.
Cynthia Erivo is singing the song, and I'm sitting next to my mother, like falling apart. And we got in the car, and my mother was like, "Did I miss the part that was supposed to make me cry? Because you are like, you're not okay." I'm like, "Thanks, mom." But so yeah, me and crying is like it's a new experience for me to just be somewhere because I remember like it just was this Cynthia Erivo being Elphaba is way bigger than just the theme of the story, right? It's so
Yeah.
symbolic in so many ways. So to see her singing that, and I my mother was like, "We gonna go home. I'm gonna watch it again because maybe I missed the part." So
She was
I've
so
been trying to make
confused.
I've been trying to make people cry, you know, when I create something, you know. Did y'all cry in any parts of Trinity?
No,
no, I
I
don't cry
didn't.
often when I read.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. I'm not, some people probably think we're both broken because some things
Yeah,
that we read, we should be
yeah,
crying
yes,
about.
yeah. I
Just
Vanessa and
more.
I can read some of the darkest detailed
Yeah.
things, and we will look at each other and go, "Wow, that was beautiful," and continue to read.
And
Like
that's literally what I texted her. Meanwhile, I have people in my DMs like, "This was such a hard book. I couldn't do it. It made me cry." And I'm like, "Well, it's so beautifully written. I don't know what
I
to tell
actually
you."
text Jess today to tell her to be cautious about the book is called On Sundays She Picked Flowers by Yaya Schofield. And it's a horror.
Mm.
And I had to tell Jess, I said, this one might not make the cut for you. Like
Yeah,
you might actually
that's
be afraid.
that will
Um,
Yeah.
do me. That will pull deep emotions out of me. Is like
because
horror. Yeah, I'm good.
it's all
Mm.
kind of like detailed murder and creatures and haunted houses. To me, it feels like Beloved. It feels like Beloved, and I think that
Yeah.
that's one of my all-time favorite books. So I'm curious
Yeah,
to
me
see
too.
where this goes. But I was like, friend, sit this one out. I'll tell you what it's about later. But I don't think you should read this one.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we like there was parts that are like reflective mostly for me, if I would say so,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily I would cry, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to
I was
think.
more I was more enthralled with how beautiful the writing was. Like that's all I
Right.
was thinking about. And
You
like where's
know,
the story? Like where's the story gonna go? Like I was like, oh, okay, you're
Yeah.
going from this, and I'm like, wow, this is solid. Yeah.
I think the last book that made me cry was Latoya Watkins, her collection of short stories called Hollow Child.
Oh yeah.
I got to
Oh,
the
I
end
gotta
of
write
that one
that
and
down.
sobbed. I
Yeah,
got to
that
the
Okay, I
end
was
of
gotta
that
write
and
that down.
I had to like,
that one.
that's another
That
one
was
where
that
like
was a sad one.
the through line in her stories was very prominent. It was all about
Mm-hmm.
I want to say
Grief.
forgiveness. Yeah, like
It
grief
was
and
like grief,
forgiveness and like
forgiveness
what?
was like those two things.
Yeah. And once I
Yeah.
got to the end, the last story in particular is about two sisters who are coming to terms with their brother who is gay, and how that
Mm-hmm.
they don't have
Oh
any
yeah.
idea where he is. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know like how to find him, and they're older, so they're starting to realize like we're all we've got, and all these years we've kind of excommunicated him because we didn't
Yeah.
understand his choice and partner and so on and so forth, and they're looking for their brother. And I
Oh wow.
I whew, oh
Oh, so I
I
wrote
had to
that
sit
down.
that down. I had to
So
sit that one
who's
down.
the
And
author again?
Latoya Watkins,
Yeah,
Latoya
Latoya
Watkins.
Walken.
Okay.
both of you'd love
The
her novel
Parish.
Parish. Parish
Oh
is
man.
phenomenal. Another generational tale,
Multi-genre.
but we
Mm-hmm.
get it from the perspective of the matriarch. The matriarch is sick, she's dying, and we get her perspective
Mm-hmm.
of all of the terrible things that she inflicted on her children and her grandchildren. We get the
Oh
why
wow.
behind it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like with Trinity, right? Like they were bad people because bad
Yeah.
things happened to them and they had to figure out
Mm-hmm.
how to survive and whatever. But we don't get that perspective of our elders, right? Like we
Yeah,
as
right?
children, all we know is that we're supposed to listen to you and that we have this innate love and want to be around and with you,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't understand that you existed before we were even a thought. Like that doesn't come, those things don't come into perspective right away. So it's like all we know is
Yeah.
that you're hurting us. And we
Mm-hmm.
have to
Yeah.
figure out how to love you anyway. But Parish was one of those books that changed my brain chemistry. Like I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it all
Oh,
makes
I love
sense.
that.
That was a
It
good
all
one.
makes sense."
Both her books. And she has a new book coming out. She has a new book
Yes.
coming out. So I'm
The
excited
Book
to
of Chuck,
see
I cannot wait
where
I
this
to
love
read the Book
that.
of Chuck.
That perspective, man, that I'm telling you, that's so important. There's we don't know where to put it at the beginning or at the end or in the middle, but there's a chapter in my memoir that is about where I have my mother telling pretty much the same story, but from her perspective, starting when she was a teenager. You know,
Mm.
so that all of the wounding and the what you were saying, Shelby, about the trying to figure out how to love this person anyway who beat the crap out of you the whole time you were growing up or whatever, and all of the troubles that my mother had. And so in the book, there's like 40 pages of where the whole universe turns around, and it is my mother telling her story, telling basically daily what happened to her, starting from a point in her teenagehood, and then it runs through. It doesn't run all the way through my life, but it runs through so that you can see like her two queer children, myself, her firstborn, and then her fifthborn, me, and you can see the things that was happening to her that will cause her to treat her children the way that she did, and then
Mm.
it stops, and then I pick back up with the story. But I do it that way for the same reason that I was telling y'all with the story with my dad. That first chapter with in Trinity is trying to figure out and understand, this person's innocence before they weren't innocent. Like what
Mm.
happened, what happened before, and what were the reasons? Yeah. But that's a word. I wrote all of that down. I'm like, I can't wait to read the short stories and this novel. So
Did you have any apprehensions about writing the spiritual aspects of Trinity? Like we are black people, we understand, black people are usually
Mm.
heavily in
Hell
the
yeah.
church and that spiritual aspect of things can be kind of frowned upon. What was your thought process with adding that to the story?
I'm so glad you asked that because it was actually the thing that was missing. So I will write a book and like the have the gnashing of teeth, the crying, the because I have to start all over. Because for me, if I can't do a read through of that book and feel everything that I would want the reader to feel or that I would consider a really good book, just where I'm not stopping, I'm just reading the story, almost forgetting that I wrote it. If that doesn't happen, I will put a story aside that I have been working on every single day for 2 years and start over. And so I had done
Mm.
that with Trinity 6 times, and I was so exhausted. I just couldn't do another run through. And what I did was I convinced myself that it's funny because I'm getting ready to go to this same beach, go to this beach in 2 days. But I convinced myself that it was the process itself is what I needed. I was like, it's okay. Maybe it just ain't gonna get written. Maybe you just, it was the process was the journey and all that kind of, yummy little stuff we tell ourselves. And I went to the beach. And I was like, yeah, done with that book. Ain't gonna mess with that no more. And I was laying in the bed, and this stuff be happening to me, and this wasn't in the book. I was laying in the bed. I had the window open so that I could hear the ocean, and I was trying to fall asleep, and I heard, get up. My ancestors wasn't having none of my shit. And I was like, get up. And it was that punitive, like, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to get the
If you
switch.
don't get up right now.
It was
Mm-hmm.
get up. And I was like, I cannot I'm not going to write that book anymore. I can't do it no more. I'm not going to start from scratch. And I sat there overnight, bawling my eyes out, and I started writing. And you know what came in the book? That very first paragraph that is the opening, the voice of
Yes.
spirit. And what was missing in the story, what came in the rewrite that had been missing in the story was spirit. And,
Mm.
afterwards I was like, duh. How can that not be there when that is so the conversation that you are consistently in yourself,
Mm.
even as a reflection of the girl characters in the book? You and spirit, you're always, you like listening and guiding and doing stuff that sometimes don't make sense because, you had heard it, you know? So, so it wasn't hard to get it in there. It was hard to get to it, for me to
Okay.
finally get down to that and get down in it, and uh, and I didn't really find it clashing with with my sort of Black Baptist upbringing, because for me that part of my Black Baptist upbringing that I couldn't explain when I was a kid, that's the part right there, not the intellectual stuff, not the and Abednego had said to, all them names I couldn't understand. It wasn't none of that. It was the feeling. It was the, when 10 voices are singing and they're not thinking, back to the not thinking thing, and they begin to friggin' leave the floor. And me feeling that as a child and feeling spirit actually in the room and the top of my head tingling. And so anyway,
Mm.
so for me
Mm-hmm.
it's all the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you said it took 6 times because 7 is the number of completion.
See
Mm.
there?
7
Yes,
is the
it
number of
was this,
completion.
this is the seventh right. What y'all
Wow.
read was the seventh right of that book. And man, when I say because I'm a big crybaby, when I say I cry, that kind of crying that like empties all the energy from your chest, and you
Yes.
just feel like you're exhausted and you ain't got no blood left in your
Mm-hmm.
body. That was the
Mm-hmm.
kind of crying. I was like, I can't, and it was just like, oh no, ma'am, get up,
Get up.
Mm. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That first line in the novel is powerful. Like, I'm so happy that you listened to the spirit and rewrote it, because it's just so, like, it's needed. It's that guiding through line throughout the whole entire book, like, honestly.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was the first thing that I wrote, that middle
Wow.
of the night. That
Wow.
paragraph is what got written first. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I sobbed after that. 'Cause I was like, but then that crying was the yes ma'am kind of I'm so glad I listened.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? I think all good literature, all great literature is spiritual. Whether
Mm.
that was the author's intent or not. I think working in this industry now and talking to so many people about literature, that's the connection to it all. Literature is your ability to, like, great literature makes you self-reflect, right? It makes you go in, it taps you into spirit for whatever different reasons. That's why we all have different experiences reading the same book. So whether
Hmm.
people want to admit that or not, literature is
Yeah.
spiritual.
It is.
Yeah. It most certainly is. All art, should bring into harmony the mind, the psychology, the psyche, faith, spirit, all of it should just we should get it like that. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
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 that's beautiful.
yeah.
I have one other question for you. When it comes to the novel overall, what conversations do you want readers, especially Black women and men, to take from Trinity?
Okay, listen. The conversation and the thing that I would want to say, and that I hope to say it in all the different manifestations of my art making and my healing work, is that the thing that you have not told needs to be told, that you will come and go, and all of your experiences are like a thumbprint. There won't be another one.
Mm.
So, for the emotional, psychological, and spiritual evolution of humanity, you have to tell the truth, all of it, not just the
Mm.
good part, which is what Lottie Rebecca Lee is calling for, and the men in her family, that you have to tell the bad part too, the traumatic part, because without, we do not get to see anything in full relief without the shadow and the light. We have to have both in order to be able and capable of seeing whatever it is that we need to see. And that for our generations to heal, the folks who done gone on, they can't do the
Mm.
work. They gone. The ones who ain't got here yet, they ain't here yet. You are the fulcrum force. You are the one with flesh, bone, hands, feet. What does it say in the book? To make right what has been so long made wrong. And that's you. So if you sit up here and you gone on to glory and you didn't tell the story, then I'm mad at you. you know.
That's the
So that's what I
best.
want people to get out of it. Be courageous. Be Make yourself vulnerable. Know that telling the things that happen will not kill you. It will cure you. Don't take the blue pill that colonialism would have you take and say, I can't tell. And then the same thing happens to the next daughter in the family because you
Mm.
didn't tell.
Hmm.
That's what I would have people take away, is that this story is a ritual of healing. It is also a ritual and ceremony of what occurs when you are able to tell the truth. There are gifts that cannot be opened until you are willing to go down into that cave and open up the treasure chest. There's not just bad, scary, potential anxious things in there. There's also the gifts of the rest of your existence in those spaces. Yeah, so that's what I would have people take
Mm.
away. Yeah, it's like don't just show up in the pews. You know,
Do the work.
that's right. Sign. Yeah, don't just
Do
be
the
like I
work.
went to church. yeah.
That's why
Mm-hmm.
Jess and I tell y'all to read outside of your comfort zone, because that's a part of doing the work too.
Yep. Yep.
That's where you get
Yep.
the spiritual. moments, right? When you read things that you wouldn't normally because you thought that they were too hard. Whole time, the reason that it's too hard for you to read is because you can see yourself.
And the
Yes.
answer is always there. The answer is always there for you. And I don't think people want to explore that. And I don't think also people view books in a healing manner. Like
Yeah.
they view books in a specific way of healing. Like if it's a self help, that's the healing. I don't need self help. So I'm going to go over to fiction and escape and go all the different places. But people don't want to do the work that's necessary and see through all the words that are on the page. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to see outside of what is put in front of them. It sucks, but I hope more
Yeah.
people start to do the work, especially with Trinity being one of those books that is very, from you the writer all the way down to the reader, is a very spiritual and healing experience if you really take it
Thank
all
you,
in.
Jessica.
Yeah.
That helps me to do my work. I'm not lying. Because, sometimes you have to hear back, sometimes, it gets tragic. You be like standing at the foot of, the universe saying, is anybody listening? Why do I do what I do? I am suffering.
Yeah.
And it's like, girl, it's okay. Jessica had just said it, you know.
Yeah.
It's like get
You
up in the
know,
Yeah.
morning and do nothing.
I always wonder why people don't see fiction as healing though. Like I think something that I try to always say to people is like true comprehension is understanding the possibility of words, right? That
Yeah,
depending on how you put them together will change or shift its meaning, right? Um
yeah.
I don't know, like I don't know where that black and white thinking comes from.
I feel like where it comes from is is the ways in which, just like with anything, um, everything being so colonized, which means
Mhm.
you do not have to have your receptors on to call for what it is that you need as food, medicine, and kinship, which could be the next story. You don't have to have your receptors on because our marketing team has figured out what's really popular right now on Instagram, and we have therefore pulled forward books that might be a reflection of that, which means they're commercial, which means we'll make money, which means it don't matter what you were calling for food, medicine, and kinship. This is what you're getting, and then you are saying, "Oh, this is my food, medicine, and kinship, and my entertainment," which might hit in the right space for some people who were actually calling for that. But for anyone else who was calling for a different medicine, the medicine got stopped way back there at the gate because the marketing team said that's not what's popular right now. So for me,
Mhm.
it's the colonization and the colonialism and the colonization of the very things and commodifying the very things that might be our medicine. And that is not even just metaphor. That is literally when it comes to the food we eat, when it comes to the people we are in contact with, all of that. And so I feel like we have to get back to trusting our instincts and saying, "I'm hungry. What are you hungry for, baby?" I think
Mm.
I don't know. Let me see. Let me just be quiet for a minute. I think I need some broccoli. Now go to the store and get some broccoli. Translation: I'm needing something. What are you needing, baby? I don't know. I feel anxious and I feel like a lot of stuff is coming up about my dad. Baby, go to the used bookstore. you
Mhm.
know, and thumb through books for the afternoon and see what book is the kinship. Someone speaking what had happened to them and how they got over it so that you can maybe feel that and have that too. So I feel like we still have that, Shelby, and we're still incredibly capable. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. That we're still so capable of recognizing the ways in which literature and other art is food, medicine, and kinship, and that the call and response is the powerful part of that. But we have to stop just looking for what am I being fed today, or and say, what is it that I need today? Yeah.
Mm,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
This has been great. Jess, do you want to do rapid fire this or that?
Yeah, yeah. All right, we're gonna get it. So it's gonna be this or that. You just pick. You don't gotta explain too much. We're just gonna go with it. So, okay, first one is: would you rather be stuck in your favorite fantasy world or your favorite time period?
Oh, my favorite fantasy world.
Okay. Zora Neale Hurston or Toni Morrison?
Oh Lord, I can't mess with that. If I answer that, there's gonna be some ancestral spanking happening afterwards. I'm like skip.
Oh man. Okay, so we'll let you
This
skip that
time,
one.
this time last year, I carried Zora's message through the that Zora summit,
Mm-hmm.
and got
Oh
to
yeah.
spiritually and feel her on stage. But I'm gonna tell you what, this is making the top of my head tingle. Toni was sitting right there, So I'm like, I ain't answering
Mm.
that question.
I understand. I get it. Would you prefer a handwritten draft or a digital draft?
Handwritten draft.
Okay. Would you rather reread your least favorite book every month or never write again?
Ooh. I would rather reread my least favorite book because it's probably going to become my favorite book. I'm probably going to find some stuff in there as I grow and change.
And then have unlimited conversations with the character you wrote or unlimited conversations with your favorite author.
Unlimited conversations with my favorite author.
All right.
That's a good
That's
one.
all. That's a good
That's a
one.
good one.
Yes.
Well, it was so lovely to have you, Zelda. You are welcome anytime. Are you currently
Mm-hmm.
working on a new book or what you got going on?
Yeah, I'm working on so I've cried the tears and had the gnashing of teeth for, I don't know, maybe the 10th time, but I finally struck it. I hit it. This might be number 10 with what was called Recollect, and I think I've gone around the world and back again with titles, and I'm back at that one with my memoir. So
Mm.
Okay.
yeah, and it explores
Nice.
the journey of my wounds with my mother, and with the revelation of the wounds and where they came from, going all the way back and then forward to my beautiful children. Yeah, forward
Oh,
to the
nice.
healing. Yeah,
I
Nice.
can't
yeah,
wait
Nice.
to read it.
yeah,
Same. Same.
yo. Appreciate y'all so much. I'm like, whenever there's the party or the reunion and we can be in person, let me know.
Of
Absolutely.
course. Of course.
We
Thank
will
you so
have,
much.
yes, thank you. We'll have all of Zelda's social media information in the description box, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.